Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Protesters holding photos of shooting victims gather outside an RA convention in Texas as Donald Trump addresses crowd. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has argued that the United States should make it easier to confine deranged people and eliminate gun-free school zones after a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers this week at a Texas school. The murder of 19 students and 2 teachers by an 18-year-old gunman equipped with an AR-15-style semi-automatic assault rifle is expected to limit attendance at the NRA's conference. Clearly, we need to make it far easier to confine the violent and mentally deranged into mental institutions, Mr. Trump said in a speech at the convention, in Houston, of the National Rifle Association, a gun rights advocacy group. Tuesday's fatal shooting of 19 pupils and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas, by an 18-year-old gunman equipped with an AR-15-style semi-automatic rifle again focused attention on the NRA, a major donor to Congress members, mostly Republicans. The gunman boasted on social media about purchasing the high-powered weapons as soon as he turned 18. Uvalde is about 450 kilometers west of Houston. The shooting was expected to limit attendance at the NRA's first convention in 3 years. On suggestions to improve the security of schools, Mr. Trump said every school should have a single point of entry, strong fencing and metal detectors, adding there should also be a police official or an armed guard at all times in every school. The former U.S. president also called for eliminating gun-free school zones, adding that such zones leave victims with no means to defend themselves in case of an attack by an armed person. The existence of evil in our world is not a reason to disarm law-abiding citizens who know how to use their weapon and can protect a lot of people, he said. The existence of evil is one of the very best reasons to arm law-abiding citizens. The audience cheered as Mr. Trump echoed speakers who rejected background checks or bans on semi-automatic weapons. The various gun control policies being pushed by the left would have done nothing to prevent the horror that took place. Absolutely nothing, Mr. Trump said. Unfortunately, ever since Columbine, we've been afflicted by a contagion of school shootings carried out by deeply evil, violent and mentally disturbed young men. Protesters call for better gun controls. Protesters holding signs and crosses with photos of victims from this week's school shooting converged outside the gun lobby's convention. About 500 protesters, some shouting NRA go away, and shame, it could be your kids today, jeered as thousands of members thronged the conventional center. Melinda Hamilton, 60, the founder of Fort Worth, Texas-based Mothers of Murdered Angels, who lost her daughter and grandson to gun violence, held a vigil on a park across the street from the convention. They have to change the laws and we have to fight to change these laws. It doesn't make any sense that an 18-year-old can buy a gun, she said, referring to the ages of the Uvalde and Buffalo, New York supermarket shooters. Houston activist Johnny Marta called on the NRA to halt the convention and hold a memorial service for the victims. They have the audacity not to cancel in respect of these families, said Mr. Marta, who represented advocacy group Greater Houston Coalition for Justice. He said the NRA should quit being a part of the assassination of children in American schools. The NRA's decision to proceed with its largest annual gathering is part of a decades-long strategy of standing up to pressure for gun control that dates back to the 1999 Columbine High School shooting in Colorado. There have been dozens of mass shootings in schools since that time, but that has not altered the NRA's stance. Laws will not stop evil madmen. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, a Republican, urged convention attendees not to back down in their fight against gun control. Now would be the worst time to quit. Now is when we double down, she said. Senator Ted Cruz, a Texas Republican, also insisted changing gun laws or further restricting access to firearms was not the answer. We must not react to evil and tragedy by abandoning the Constitution or infringing on the rights of our law-abiding citizens, he said. 2 other Republican speakers, Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, dropped out of in-person speaking roles. In a pre-recorded video, Mr. Abbott said, "As Texans, and as Americans, we grieve and mourn with these families." However, he said, laws did not stop the Uvalde shooter and pushed back at calls for further regulation, saying laws will not stop evil madmen from committing these atrocities. Texan Governor Greg Abbott has maintained his grip on America's Lone Star State for 7 years, and is likely to clinch a third term later this year. For now, he must grapple with yet another mass shooting. Read more.